Let's declare the meeting open and advise that the council being live streamed and recorded in accordance with the city's live streaming and recording council meetings policy. By being present at this meeting, members of the public consent to the city recording and live streaming their image and or voice. Could I ask Deputy Mayor to welcome us to country?
Thank you, Worship. I'll begin by acknowledging my elders past and present. Ngalat yini kura ngala no nidya nonga buja. Nonga majerba nidya na kwabarak nonga buja kuralong. From the beginning of time to the end, this is Noongar country. Noongar people have been graceful keepers of our nation for many, many years. Look, listen, understand, and embrace all elements of Noongar country that is forever our home. Hello and welcome. My heart is happy as we gathered on country and meeting here on Noongar country.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all here, and before commencing the proceedings, I would like to acknowledge that we come together tonight on the traditional lands of the Noongar people and pay my respects to elders past and present. Could I call upon Councillor Miller to read the dedication?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May we, the elected members of the City of Kwinana, have the wisdom to consider all matters before us with due consideration, integrity and respect for the council chamber. May the decisions made be in good faith and always in the best interest of the greater Kwinana community that we serve.
Apologies, leave of absence previously approved is nil. Members of the public, questions? No? Do councillors have a petition? Presentations? So no deputations. Minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 25th of March. Is there any additional information?
Nothing further, sir.
Councillors have any questions? Someone like to move that way? Move. Deputy Mayor, seconded. Councillor Wood. Speak for the item?
No question.
Anyone speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Declarations of interest. Deputy Mayor.
Declaration for item 25.1, the Kwinana Golf Club redevelopment, proximity and impartiality.
We're not sure. Not that we're not sure. Its proximity is not necessarily relevant. So, I think if it's proximity, you need to leave the room. Is that correct?
Proximity, we have to leave. But
So you don't actually really need to declare a proximity interest because the golf club's already there.
Thank you, Worship.
Councillor Sargent.
Thank you, Mayor Feasy. I'd like to declare an impartiality interest in 18.1, please.
And the reason for the...
The reason is I have worked aligned directly with the Money Mentors Institution in-depth professional level.
Okay, thank you. Request for leave of absence. Nil. There's nothing on item 10, 11, 12, 12.1, CEO, performance appraisal, performance and remuneration review 25-26, appointment of the appraisal agent and schedule of review. Is there any additional information?
nothing further.
Councillors have any questions? Someone like to move that item? Moved, Councillor Wood, seconded, Councillor Acker. Would either councillors wish to speak? Anyone speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. 12.2, minutes of the Bullamara Aboriginal Consultative Committee meeting held 13th April 2026. Is there any additional information?
Nothing further, sir.
Questions? Someone like to move that way? Moved, Deputy Mayor, seconded, Councillor Sargent. Either councillors wish to speak? Anyone speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Nothing on item 13, 14, 15. 16.1, response to Walga's climate change and advocacy position. Is there any additional information?
Nothing further, sir.
Questions? Someone like to move that way? Moved, Councillor Sargent, seconded, Councillor Brown. Councillor Sargent, wish to speak?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mayor Feasy. I just want to reiterate how the due diligence and the responses that the city staff have given, especially when you look at on page 14 of the agenda, the different points, and the agree to approach practically and to not set unreachable targets to those without resources to do so, to ensure that local government organisations can align and achieve these without having unrealistic goals set upon them of state and federal government. So I think it's very vital that WALGA takes this feedback and looks at how we can have a fair and equitable system towards achieving these goals, and not just shiny grants that are given to those in favour. So a process that all local governments can work together to achieve what is a vital issue in our community. So I very much respect the officer's work here and hope that WALGA takes this very seriously. If our fellow councillors choose to vote, which I highly strongly you to vote for it, please. Thank you.
Who else seconded it? Councillor Brown? Anyone speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Item 17.1, Amendment 1 to the Challenger Precinct Structure Plan. Is there any additional information?
Nothing further.
Questions, councillors? Councillor Penny?
Thank you very much. Just give me a moment while I work my technology here. So the recommendation to the WA Planning Commission is to not approve the amended structure plan, and I would like to call on the city to speak to the ramifications should the WA Planning Commission not support our recommendation, and also what appetite do you think there is at the WA Planning Commission to support our recommendation?
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. The ramifications are essentially that our recommendation is in line with policy. So for the Commission, in my view, for the Commission to not support the Council's the recommendation here, if the Council is to forward that recommendation on, it would be going against the established planning framework. So what we are looking at in terms of this recommendation is to bolster the long-term prospects for the success of the Kwinana city centre by maintaining a walkable catchment, or within the walkable catchment, a high density of residential accommodation as much as we can, because we have quite a lot of low density single residential development immediately around the centre already, and this is really almost the last opportunity with undeveloped land to get some density in a walkable area from the city centre. So if it were a whole region around the city centre that we were looking to keep as a medium density precinct, then that would be might not be achievable. But being such a limited area, in line with the public transport system, which then connects straight down to the rail line, I think this is actually a good outcome and should be supported. If it's not, then what that essentially opens the door for is for Development WA through Satterley to develop small lot single residential development, which is not a lot different to what we've already seen in the city centre area, which we don't feel from a land use planning perspective, in a strategic planning perspective, is not a desirable outcome. We've got an opportunity to do something a bit better at the moment.
Councillor Sargent.
Thank you, Mayor Feasey. Can I ask, if the West Australian Planning Commission does not go with your initial recommendation, because I've noticed as Councillor Penny was talking to, you've given, I guess, an alternate, if you're not going to support this, here's our limitations. Does the city by any chance have, what would be the appeals process if they make this decision and go against our recommendation, as you're saying that it's such a core and vital last component to our city centre and our master plan? Is there appeals process to, like, I guess how it goes the other way and it goes to SAT? Does the city have an opportunity to go, we disagree with this decision and would like it overturned or re-looked at?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Feasey. No, essentially is the answer. The city doesn't have a right of appeal against the decision of essentially the minister, so that will be a final decision on an amendment to a structure plan.
Any other questions? Someone like to move the recommendation? Moved Councillor Penny, seconded Councillor Acker. Councillor Penny, do you wish to speak? Councillor Acker? Anyone speak against? No. Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Uh, 18.1, proposed disposition by way of lease Suite 11, Darius Wells Library and Resource Centre being part of 2, Lot 107, Robbers Way, Kwinana, between the City of Kwinana and Finucare Financial Counselling trading as Money Mentors. I note that Councillor Sargent has declared an interest of impartiality. Is there any additional information?
Nothing further.
Questions, councillors? Would someone like to move that way? Moved Deputy Mayor, seconded Councillor Wood. Either councillors wish to speak?
Yes, Your Worship.
Deputy Mayor.
Look, in times of hardship in the community and the financial crisis that are being experienced by families in the area, services like these add that extra layer of support for communities that are facing these difficulties and challenges and how they manage their money, and obviously looking at where their efforts and us as a city are able to support service providers that are able to provide wraparound support services to help struggling families to meet the needs of their growing families within the City of Kwinana. So that is why I recommend this motion, and I ask for the support of my fellow councillors on this motion.
Councillor Wood.
I'd like to just reiterate what Councillor Wimar said, that these types of services are really essential in our area right now.
Anyone speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. 18.2, local law review, local government pest plants, local law. Is there any additional information?
Nothing further, Mr Mayor.
Questions? Councillor Sargent.
Thank you, Mayor Feasey. I was just wondering if the city could speak to what provisions are made to explain to residents what plants are not allowed and why. For example, someone moves new into the area, into an established household, and half of the back garden is potentially a plant on this local law list. So just more along what's the community information process. I know normally services, the city's taken the stance that someone will come out, have a conversation. It was just more what, I guess I've lived in Kwinana for quite some time, and I was unaware from the previous law what plants were or were not allowed. So what's the communication, or how does that knowledge get passed to the individual in the home to know this?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Feasey. The pest plants local law is existing local law. It's already in place, and it has a number of plants identified on it already. So what this is just updating the list to take one off, which was a pest plant but is now so common that it's been naturalised, and add a number of others that have been identified in the meantime. The intent of this policy isn't to prevent people from having these plants so much as to deal with them if they do become a problem on a property. So if someone has let a property go and it is causing a problem, or if we're identifying them on in areas where they are becoming a problem, then we can take action to issue a notice on the owner to deal with it and to remove the plants. But it's really where local law, which gets very seldomly used, and it's really to identify, deal with a specific situation. So it's not something that prevents people from necessarily having these plants, but more so to deal with it if it does become a problem.
Councillor Brown?
Thank you, Your Worship. Of the, I guess, the existing list and the, considering the addition to that list, is the city aware of if any of those plants or kind of are available for sale currently? And if that's the case, what is that messaging to residents if they're available for sale at a local retailer, but I guess the local law says not to have it?
Thank you. For example, I believe the Brazilian pepper tree may be one that you can actually commercially purchase. As I was saying to Councillor Sargent, the intent isn't to prevent people from having them. It is really about managing them when they become, and if they become an actual problem in the environment and they're causing an issue. If someone's, if it's spreading into native environments and it's likely to have an issue, cause an issue with it affecting our conservation estates or conservation reserves, then we may want to take action to eradicate the pest species. But that's a very rare occurrence. So it's really not really about people in suburban areas that much as it might be people in more rural and semi-rural areas where they may have an infestation of a species that is causing a problem and is likely to impact other properties as well. So that's really where we would take action.
Again, just a follow-up question. If a resident has identified these species on their property, can the city provide guidance on effective removal based on the species?
Certainly we could do that, yes.
Any other questions? Someone like to move that way? Moved Councillor Sargent, seconded Councillor Wood. Either councillor wish to speak? No, thank you. Councillor Wood, anyone speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. 18.3 monthly financial report, February 2026. Is there any additional information?
Nothing further.
Questions, councillors? Someone like to move that way? Moved Councillor Sargent, seconded Councillor Wood. Either councillors wish to speak? Anyone speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. 18.4 accounts for payment for the month ended 31 March 2026. Any additional information?
Nothing further.
Questions? Someone like to move that way? Councillor, what's your name? Routs? Deputy Mayor, seconded. Councillor Rouse, would you like to speak? No, thank you. Deputy Mayor? Anyone speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. 18.5, disposition by way of sale of vacant land at lot 904, Chisholm Ave, Kwinana, lot 904, on deposited plan 63743. Is there any additional information?
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
Councillors have any questions? Councillor Acker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question's two parts. Why sell now, and what commercial uses is the zoning allowed for? Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The reason for selling now is we have been trying for some time to get interested parties to use it. We've been in negotiations with a particular company, but as regards a lease on the site, but it was becoming quite drawn out just in terms of the terms that they wanted. Some advice that we got from people, from a couple of people involved in the development industry and the financing industry, was to say that your best value was actually to sell it. You get a better return at this point in time, and you can have a caveat, have some conditions as part of the sale where if they go to sell in the future, the city has the right first offer of refusal. I'll hand over to our planner to answer about the planning parts.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Feasey. The range of uses is the same as what you'll find throughout the commercial city centre precinct. So shops, offices, restaurants, all those sorts of full range of commercial activities would be permissible on that location. So, including fast food, fuel, petrol stations, and things like that as well.
I think it's important to note that we have gone through this process before, and we've received a number of people or a number of businesses that did request to go there, and ultimately council decided that they weren't the appropriate option. I guess ultimately though, we have been sitting on this block of land for 20 plus years. One of those businesses that did want a lease, it was going to be a term of about 20 years, so we could have made $1 million off this block every year for the last 20 years. We haven't, so we can continue to hope that we find a great use for it, or we could sell it now and put those funds into an existing project, which is, I guess, where we're looking to go based on the market that is currently there in relation to the commercials. Councillor Penny.
In terms of the long-term vision for the city centre and the precinct master plan, back when we discussed this item in 2023, we had quite a bit of conversation around the streetscape, around the sort of visual landscape that we wanted to create as you came down Gilmore Ave. And I'm aware that that Greg was not with us at that time. So there was a lot of conversation about the Darius and also the Aquatic being key buildings within the city centre that we wanted to ensure that they sort of like shone, if you like, amongst the other commercial developments. And I'm just wondering, what thought or provision is in place for, the future around that corner, because it's quite a key corner. From memory, that site was originally looked at that we would develop, some multi-level building there that housed like multi-use, potentially offices and commercial and those kinds of things, but in a style and way that really sort of value added to the visual landscape of the city centre and didn't detract from sort of key buildings that we've obviously invested in as a city, like the Darius Wells and the upcoming Aquatic refurbishment. So I'm just in terms of like the real, the tangible vision and aesthetic for the city. Could you speak to that a little bit and what the risks or opportunities are from selling this block right now?
I think to a certain extent before Mr Bowring does respond, it's a difficult question to answer considering we don't know who's actually wanting to purchase. Ultimately, if a large company that wants to build an 8-storey building there, then obviously there would be certain parameters that would all automatically occur through the planning process in the fact that it is a corner lot and it is a gateway location into the city. But at the same point in time, if, for example, it was a fast food that was going there, it would be a very different look to that site, but there would still be the same sort of things in place to ensure that you don't have the loading zone to the corner and stuff like that. But I'll allow Mr Bowring to actually probably respond a little more.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Thiessen. The speculative nature of the site in that, it's been available for sale it's been workshopped by council over a long period of time. The option to sell gives a commercial opportunity for someone to look at the highest and best use of that key location. Now, we've still got planning control, we've still got the planning framework which encourages the landmark development on that site. That's the entryway into the pedestrianised main street for the city centre, which was a focus of the decision at the other corner, Mears, and was a material decision in that matter through the SAT process, which is still ongoing. So when we look at what could happen on that site, that'll be something for the market to test to see what they believe is possible, potential highest and best use of that site within the planning framework that council has established through the planning framework. So that is really very hard to determine. It's really down to that commercial viability, and this putting it to market will test that opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to clarify, we do still have those planning mechanisms in place, is what you're saying as well, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Any other questions? Councillor Sargent?
Thank you, Mayor Feasy. Most of my other questions have already been asked. I just wanted to ask, what are the height build area limits for that precinct area?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Feasy, I don't have that to hand. That is a part of what we're looking at with the review of the city centre precinct structure plan at the moment, and looking at whether or not we actually, what height limits we do want to do. So at the moment, I believe it's somewhere in the vicinity of 4 stories, but I will confirm that and let you know. But we are looking at that right now through the review of the structure plan.
Any other questions? Councillor Penny?
Thank you. My next questions relate to the management and use of that site on an ongoing basis. At the moment, that lot is used as overflow parking for the Aquatic and Darius Wells, and surrounding commercial businesses as well, the tavern. Of course, there'll be maybe some diminished traffic while we're undergoing renovation and refurbishment of the Aquatic, but it's an incredibly busy car park. And while I acknowledge that there's car parking adjacent at the marketplace, the cohort or the community that's using these centres, such as accessing the library or accessing the Aquatic, may be seniors in the community, may have young children with them and want to be able to park close by. In terms of how will the city manage an already stretched parking resource in that precinct? Like, what's the plans moving forward to ensure that people can access these amazing facilities that the city's funding and providing?
I believe the planning being done for the town centre structure plan actually has done some planning around traffic, and Mr Barring will probably give more information, but I believe there's actually far than satisfactory levels of parking in general. I mean, I get the point of, you know, people want to park close to the door, but there is certainly a large amount of parking in that area. Mr Barring?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Feasy. Yes, that's correct. Our understanding is that there is effectively an oversupply of parking available in the broader area. It's just how much is available in front of the thing that you want to go to may be different. The development of that site would have its own parking requirements and need to work with those as well. So typically when you're dealing with a pedestrianised city centre, you may not get parking, a significant amount of parking on site. You'd be encouraging people to walk a bit further and spend time in your pedestrianised environment. So that will be an issue. There will be a bit less at-grade parking if this site is no longer available for that, but that the alternative is you get more functionality in the city centre, you get more reasons for people to stay and be in the place and use public transport or walk in.
I think also part of the Thriving Community grant that we received is an upgrade to that street, which will actually make pedestrian access more friendly.
Thank you. And will there be provision for additional parking around the Aquatic refurbishment? So at the moment, what I can understand you're saying is that we've got an oversupply of parking in that area. I would say if you're down there at 10 o'clock in the morning on a weekday, you're definitely parking in the overflow area and sometimes really searching even for a spot in the overflow area. So it's not a minor issue. I think particularly at peak times, and I would say, you know, 10 o'clock in the morning and around 6 o'clock when there's a lot of people going to the Aquatic for sports, but then there's also a provision of traffic around the pub and maybe the dinner crowd. It's quite a busy site, and completely understand that there is parking nearby over at the marketplace. It is just a real consideration that people will need to cross the road, potentially with young children, prams, or are heading into physiotherapy or
Sorry, is there a
sessions of
question? Are we getting
aquatic.
to a question?
Sorry, well, my question was like around the aquatic. Is there extra thought around parking in the aquatic refurbishment?
Through you, Mr Mayor, the aquatic itself, no, it doesn't really deal with the streetscape itself, but right next to the aquatic we have the precinct upgrade project, which was the one that Mr Mayor was referring to a minute ago. We're still working through the design for that project, but one of the concepts did provide the opportunity for additional parking, and it depends on how much we're able to deliver within the grant that it might be possible to deliver additional parking. But one of the things we do want to address, and it's a high priority for this project, is the crossing across Chisholm to deal with that problem of, to be honest, the crossing's in the wrong place. It's not where people cross, and it's a really hard road to cross. So it is a problem, and we want to address it. And that really does address that main concern, getting across that road with kids, getting across the road if you're a bit slower to get across the road because you might be older or have a different ability. So making it easier to get across that road is a big outcome we want to achieve. But also a lot of the work we're doing is about getting more people at the marketplace. Even the work we've done over at the Adventure Park and the amount of parking there when we looked at the mini golf project, a lot of our decision making was based on, we've got a whole lot of parking, we actually have a surplus of parking over at the marketplace, and if we can get more people to the marketplace, then suddenly they're right next to the shop. So it's also part of our thinking is the more we can get people at the marketplace, the more that can thrive. And to make it work, we may have to do things like improve that pedestrian connection across to the Darius and the aquatic. So that's something we'll definitely be working on.
Any other questions? Councillor Miller?
Mine's just a clarification about the community engagement and talks about it being advertised in the local paper. I just want clarification if it will also be advertised on the city's social media pages.
Probably unlikely, a contract like that. Someone like to move the item? Moved Councillor Acker, seconded Councillor Rouse. Councillor Acker?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just quickly, I found myself disappointed when I found out that there were many opportunities along the way with councils in previous years that could have done something to generate income for the city and didn't pull the trigger. And there's been this brown spot right in the heart of the city as you're driving in, locals, everything, cars, not parked properly. So I support the recommendation to sell the lot and let it be developed according to the city's planning requirements. And I encourage my fellow councillors to as well. Thank you.
Councillor Rouse?
Yeah, just briefly, Your Worship. I do concur with Councillor Acker. We've been sitting on this block of land for many years. Obviously, we wanted something marquee. We wanted something pretty impressive as an entry statement into our main street. And unfortunately, over the years, that has not occurred. I think anything that is probably developed on this site is going to be a positive for our main street design, as long as it, and we have those mechanisms in place where this development will have to align with our main street concept plan. So I do support the recommendation. Thank you.
Anyone speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Nothing on item 19, 20. Is there any late or urgent business? Reports of elected members. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Worship. I'll work backwards. This morning attended Gilmore College as they commemorated and reflected on the Anzac Assembly. It was a moving moment for young people to remember and to reflect on those that sacrificed their life for the country that we live in today, and experience the lifestyle that those soldiers sacrificed for us to enjoy. attended the Pioneers High Tea with yourself and Councillor Wood. Councillor Wood and I attended the South Metro Zone, attended the Bullamara Advisory Aboriginal Consultative Committee and the Easter morning tea. And I'd also, it is with sadness I'd like to just announce a tribute in honour of a respected community leader that sadly passed away overnight, Doris Jetta. Today we pause to honour and remember a deeply respected member of our community, Aunty Doris Jetta, affectionately known as Aunty Dot, whose contribution, wisdom and quiet strength will be felt for generations to come. She was a calm and steady presence, softly spoken, thoughtful and always clear in her guidance. When conversations became difficult or complex, she was a voice of reason, offering insight grounded in lived experience, cultural knowledge and a genuine care for others. Her words carried weight, not because they were loud, but because they were considered, respectful and wise. Her commitment to the community of Kwinana was unwavering. She played an important role on the initial advisory group for the development of the first Reconciliation Action Plan, the Reflect, helping lay strong foundations built on trust, listening and mutual respect. She contributed meaningfully through the Bullamara Aboriginal Advisory Group, supported the elevation of the BMAC to a consultative committee and provided guidance through SWAL's heritage surveys to ensure voices were heard and heritage respected. She was also an active contributor to the Palmerston Aboriginal Consultative Committee alongside Charlie Kickett, a long-term and valued member of the MAC Elders Group, a steadfast and participant in numerous community initiatives. Her volunteering extended into many roles with Koya, particularly supporting children's activities, always giving her time freely and generously. Beyond formal roles and committees, she was someone people trusted. When advice was needed, she was a person many turned to, always willing to listen, to guide and to support any community initiative when asked. Her commitment was never about recognition, but about doing what was right for the community. Equally inspiring was her dedication to her family. As a grandmother, carer, raising 3 grandchildren, she showed strength, love and resilience every day, teaching by example the true meaning of responsibility, care and legacy. And then there were moments that brought people together. Her kangaroo stew and dampers, legendary in their own right. Meals prepared with love, shared with laughter and stories, creating space for connection and belonging. She was the go-to person, and those gatherings will long be remembered with warmth and gratitude. Her passing leaves a profound absence, but her legacy lives on. In the community she shaped, the people she guided, the children she nurtured, and the community she served with humility and heart. We thank her for her wisdom, her service, her generosity. She will be deeply missed and forever respected. Vale Doris Jetta. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Acker.
I've completed all those duties required of me. Thank you.
Councillor Brown. Councillor Miller. Councillor Penny.
Thank you. Like Deputy Mayor Wimmer, I attended the Bullamara Aboriginal Consultative Committee, the Easter morning tea, and very honoured to be at the Gilmore College Anzac Day Assembly this morning, and just so incredibly proud of our local school and how well it's doing. It was a really proud and special morning. I'd also like to acknowledge that this is Anna's last council meeting with us, and what an absolute legend she's been, and huge support to us as elected members, with a lot of kindness and patience and wisdom and intelligence, all the things that you bring to this role. We're going to miss you deeply, and Rockingham are very lucky to have you, and we hope they look after you.
Councillor Rouse.
Nothing to report, Your Worship, but I do want to thank the Deputy Mayor for his kind recognition of Arnie Dot, having worked alongside her. She's a very special member of our community and she'll be greatly missed. And thanks, Anna.
Councillor Sargent.
I've done everything as performed, thank you.
Councillor Wood.
I've performed all the duties required of me, but I'd just like to mention the Pioneer morning tea. I spoke to several people there, one couple I spoke to were 89 and 91 years old. Another fellow I spoke to was the 1984 Sportsperson of the Year in Kwinana, and there was lots of wonderful stories going around. I feel that it was a great success and like to compliment the staff for putting on such a great show. And Anna, what am I going to do without you?
Thanks, Councillor Wood. There's nothing on 23. Mayoral announcements. Also, condolences to Arnie Dot's family. Just reminding the community that it's Anzac Day on Saturday. Dawn service 5:50 at the Medina War Memorial, and then 10:30 for the morning service. Also note that after the dawn service there is a community breakfast. I think the Kwinana Knights Football Club are manning the barbecues again for bacon egg rolls. So I think that was about really the main thing. I obviously attended all those other events. The Pioneer lunch, high tea was very well attended. I do note though a gentleman said that he had lived in the city for 75 years. Mr. Eriks came and spoke to me afterwards and said that was actually incorrect because Kwinana isn't 75 years old. So in actual fact, he lived in East Rockingham for a number of years prior to moving to Kwinana. So I think that's probably about all I need to mention. There is one item of confidential nature. Item 25.1, Kwinana Golf Club redevelopment. So could I ask someone move that we go behind closed doors? Councillor Rouse, seconded Councillor Wood. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Public gallery could please vacate. Good. So item 25.1, the Kwinana Golf Club redevelopment, which was conducted behind closed doors. The council resolved to the following, that Council A notes the progress of the feasibility study and master planning currently being undertaken for the redevelopment of the Kwinana Golf Course site. B, authorise the Chief Executive Officer, if and when required, to prepare and advertise a business plan for the development of the Kwinana Golf Course site in accordance with Section 3.59 of the Local Government Act 1995 in relation to any major land transactions. C, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to provide written notice to the Kwinana Golf Club terminating the lease in accordance with the lease provisions. And D, notes that the Kwinana Golf Club will continue to operate as a sporting club but will no longer be responsible for the management of the golf course facility following termination of the lease. There are no more items on the agenda. I declare the meeting closed at 7:29. Thank you for your attendance.